Welcome back to the Nebraska Furniture Mart Locker Room Show, where I'm joined now by Breland Moore and Jared Kohler for tonight's Roundtable. All right, guys, at the top of the show, we heard from Clark Hahn on why he believes that the Chiefs can go back-to-back. It's a rare feat in the NFL, but why do you think it's so hard to repeat, and what are Casey's odds of actually pulling it off, Breland?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of different reasons why it's very difficult to repeat in the NFL. I just think the structure of the playoff format, number one, every other, you talk about the big four being NBA, MLB, and NHL, they all have best of series here. And the NFL, you get one game. Now, we saw that kind of a little bit this year when it came to the Patriots, Could they have realistically gone a little further if it was a best of series? Yeah, absolutely, but hey, it was one game to show them what you got, and they couldn't pull it off. So I think that comes in part of it, but I also think there's a bigger picture issue here when it comes to salary cap and desirability, because the way that the league is structured salary cap-wise, you can't keep everyone from a Super Bowl team. We see it with the Chiefs, the Chris Jones conversation. We'd love to keep Chris Jones here in Kansas City. Of course we would love to, but can the Chiefs do it? And that's been the billion-dollar question, or multi-million-dollar question if we're talking about the course of his salary this entire summer. So just with that and the desirability to have a Super Bowl champion come to your team that might be needing some help. So I think all of that really just factors into it. And of course, the other little factor that goes into that is every Super Bowl champion is going to have a target on their back coming into next year. Everyone's going to play at their absolute best to make sure that they can knock off those champs. So I think there's a ton of different things, but you know what? The Chiefs are returning almost all of their starters from the Super Bowl, and I actually think that they have a very decent chance looking at their strength of schedule and just the league in general. I think they have a really great chance of going back to the big game. It's certainly a rare feat what Brett Veach and Andy Reid have pulled off here in Kansas City, coming off of a Super Bowl win. Jared, what do you think makes it so difficult to go back-to-back, and can Kansas City do it again?
Well, it's a good reminder for Chiefs fans just how impressive it would be if the Chiefs can pull it off, and that only 4 repeat champs in the last 40 years. It would be historic, but I think it really comes down to a team's depth, because honestly, a lot of it is just luck. Can you stay healthy? Last year, the Chiefs in the playoffs were very healthy with their core group of players. How often does it happen that the same team, their core is healthy in back-to-back years? For Chiefs fans, if Casey wants to repeat, the thing you got to watch for is depth, especially in that secondary. Can they maintain a blow? Because most likely there's going to be some injuries suffered this year, and it's a matter of how can you bounce back. That quote from Rocky, it doesn't matter how hard you get hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. That's going to be the question for the Chiefs and KC's depth.
Yeah, and it's a matter of when those injuries happen. Patrick Mahomes' injury could not have happened at a better time. Now, yes, no one wants your quarterback to get injured, your reigning league MVP, but if it could have happened, when it happened, in the middle of the season, and then to hit their stride going into the postseason, that's what injuries and luck is all about. It's about hitting that stride towards the end of the year. When it comes to the NFL, it is incredibly difficult to repeat, and it's going to be even more so, I think, for the Chiefs, because not only do you go into a brand new playoff format this season, and the fact that you have to fight extra hard for that #1 overall seed to actually get a first-round bye. It's not going to come as easy as it has in the past. Then you add another game to the season next year. That's that much more likelihood that you experience injuries. And then on top of it, that Super Bowl hangover is a very, very real thing. I've literally written down 15 different reasons why it's so difficult to repeat. And these are just the front, just the tip of the iceberg on why it is. The hangover entails so many different things. The off-season can be so weird, and this off-season will be so different coming into this year off of this pandemic and everything being shut down. They're not training the same way that they were last year. A lot of times Super Bowl teams come off of that victory. They get to celebrate. They get to relish in it for months at a time until they actually get back to OTAs. Then you're kind of easing your way into it because they are resting on their laurels. They have that win, and now they don't have to, they feel like they're on top of the world, and they don't feel like they have to work the same way they did last year. Andy Reid put it perfectly, I think, this offseason when he said there's a ladder effect during the season when you haven't won a Super Bowl yet. There's a hunger there from the young guys that want that first ring. Then when you come into the next season and you're coming off of a win, it's not a ladder. You're not continually climbing. It's about sustaining that and trying to live up to the expectations of last year and get even better than you were before. How well can a team execute that? And how well can the Chiefs execute that coming off of this pandemic and not having the same kind of training that they did in years past? But they got a lot of guys returning. So guys, I think when you've got Patrick Mahomes at the helm and you've got the hunger that this team has, it plays with a chip on his shoulder, I think they have a really good chance of pulling off another Super Bowl win.